It's week 22. It's the last week of blocks. Next week we put it all together. Hey, this is Carrie with Canary Quilts, and this is an exciting time. We are done with all our blocks for the Moda Midnight Moon Quilt Along. 22 weeks, still can't get that out. Look at these blocks, they're gorgeous. I just love looking at them. I'm just looking at them right now in my little monitor, and they're just gorgeous. I cannot wait to see these in a quilt. And I know I've said that all along, and you're probably saying it too if you're doing this quilt. These are beautiful, and I'm so glad I got to do it in Halloween colors and prints. It's just so much fun. If you're new here, you can still do this. This pattern is available. It's called Summer Moon by Carrie Nelson. I have a link down below in the description. And I have a link to the fabrics if you like these fabrics, but you don't have to use them. If you're fast, get it done this year, or just slowly work on it till next year and have your little Halloween quilt ready for next year. But this week is pretty easy. We are just bordering our large blocks. And it's just like last week when we did the medium blocks, except these strips around here are thinner. Doesn't make them harder, they're just thinner. So I'm gonna walk you through that, show you how to do that, and we are done. We are done. So, yeah, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, which is important because you'll get notified next week when we put this together and you can see the whole thing. I'm gonna do my border. Is not going to be in the background. It's going to be in these colors here because I don't have any of this background left, and I'm not going to buy any more. I have a ton of this fabric left, so I am going to make my border out of this. The reason I think that will look nice is because all of these blocks are pretty much floating inside this background. When we put the color background next to these blocks, there will be that separation. So it should not blend into these blocks. There will be a separation there because of this background here. So that's why I'm doing it. A couple reasons. Don't want to buy new fabric. Don't want to buy more fabric. And I have a ton of this fabric left. Now it's not going to touch, the border's not going to touch the rest of this fabric at all. But I have it, I'm going to use it. Probably will do a scrappy binding with it too. Still won't touch all the fabric that I have. Plenty of fabric in this kit. It is amazing. These kits that I've gotten have just got way more fabric than you need, which is great. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get started finishing our blocks. It's so exciting. Wow, can you even believe we are on our last finishing block, which is finishing out the large blocks right here. Last week we did the mediums. I think the four previous weeks we did the smalls and a bonus block. This is all our blocks right here in front of us. This is going to be so cool. It has been so much fun doing this. I love the colors. I love the blocks. I can't wait to put this together next week. This is what we're going to do today. We're going to finish these blocks out with these strips. So I've got two longer strips that are a little bit different size widths, and then two short strips. It's going to be just like last week. Putting these on, not hard at all. Just got 24 of them to do. And what's fun about it is you get to revisit all your blocks that you did in the past. I'm not sure if I'm going to use the bonus blocks. I don't think I will. I might do something different with those. Maybe make a little table runner or something. I think since I have so much time in these, I want those to be in my quilt. I'm going to put all of these in my quilt. I think what I'm going to do, I wanted to show you, this is how much background I have left. I just barely got these cuts out, but I did. I got them out. And then this is just my bag full of the remaining fabrics from this quilt. So there is a border on this, and I don't have enough background to do the border. But I think what I'm going to do, since all of these blocks are pretty much going to be floating inside of the background, I'm going to use my colors here as border. I'm going to have like a scrappy border where I cut these into the strips that I need to get enough border out of them. And then I feel like that will frame this quilt. If you're wondering what to do with the border, if you're interested in how it's going to look as a non-background border, but as a color border, then stick around here next week and we'll have it cut and probably put together, I would think. You can see what it's like and you can make the decision if you want to do a color border or not. That's what I'm going to do. I wanted to show you all my blocks that I have set out here and where we're at so far, and that this is like our last week. It's our second to last week, but last week of putting our blocks together. So I'm going to sit down and I'm going to put these aside and I'm going to sit down and show you what we're going to do. So to get started on how we're going to put these together is we are going to take our shorter length over here, and this one is the wider width, so it's going to go on the right hand side. This one is not as wide, it's going to go on the left hand side. So if you do have an up and down to your block, you know, get it oriented and that's how it's going to go. And then we'll take the longer widths and we're going to put them, the wider one on top and the narrower one on the bottom. So we're going to attach these two, iron towards the strip, attach these two, iron towards the strip, and then we've got our large block done. So pretty simple, just like last week. Let me get my machine set up. I'll go through a couple of these and then I'll finish them out and that'll be that. We will be ready for next week. So exciting. Okay, I'm over here at the sewing machine and I got my block laid out how it's going to go together. I've got my A strip, my B strip, my C strip, and my D strip. And this is oriented towards me right now. So that's how that's going to go together. If you have any kind of direction to your block, you want to make sure that the block is up and down this way. So A and B are on the top and bottom of the block. I'm going to put one block together, but then I'm going to go ahead and just chain piece all my pieces on like I did last time. But the first thing we're going to do is these are the shorter pieces, so we're going to put these on first. Grabbed my clips, we'll clip these on. Fill in between, and this side, my block is smaller than my strip, so I will sew with my block facing up. Should push it, make it fit. So again, I'm going to show you how one block goes together, and then I'm going to show you how I chain piece them. Okay, so I sewed with my block facing up because it was a little bit shorter than my strips. And that way, if you're not using a walking foot, your top fabric does get pushed a little bit. So I just counted on that and that worked out great. So now we're just gonna iron these strips towards the strips, just like that. Okay, make sure we've got it oriented correctly so that the wider strip is to our right. So we'll bring our A piece back in and we're going to put this up here. We'll pin it. Looks like it's just going to be a little bit longer again, so I will put the block through with I'll put the block face up as I'm going through the machine. Then I'm going to turn it over and put my remaining strip on the other side. Make sure my right sides are together. And then we'll get this sewn on. So I'm going to send it through the machine like that. Okay, that worked out great too, with the block going in on the top through my machine. And now we're going to iron this towards the strip. And be careful not to burn your fingers because these strips are narrow. And this means this block is done. So it is pretty easy to put together. There's just, you know, a lot of them to do. So that's how you put one block together. And so right now I have it facing towards you how it is supposed to be, with A, B, C, and D. These are the two wider strips, these are the two more narrow strips. So now, I am not going to do every single block like that. I'm going to chain piece my blocks. So I am going to take my two shorter pieces, and my wider one goes over here on the right. And I'm going to put my blocks in between, and I'm going to grab my C piece, and I'm going to put it on the right hand side of my block here. And again, it's a little bit longer. So I'm going to send it through my machine with the block on top. And I'm going to do every one of these exactly the same way. I'm going to grab my block, I'm going to grab my C piece, and I'm going to sew it on. Okay, I've got two of them through. I'm just going to keep going, adding my C piece to the right side of my block. Okay, I finished up chain piecing, and I'm just going to get these cut up. And before I iron, I am going to sew the other side on exactly the same way as this one. Okay, so I chain pieced all of the C piece onto the right side of my block. I've got all my pieces now oriented, so that's on the left hand side. I've got my D piece over here ready to go, and I'm just going to grab off the top, add my D over here, and send it through the sewing machine and chain piece all of these exactly the way I did the C piece. All right, I got both my C and D pieces sewn on. I chain pieced them on, as you saw, and I am now going to just iron all of these towards the strips. Okay, I got all my C's and D's ironed, and I've taken all my pieces, piled them up so that I have the C on my right side and the D on my left side, which means my A piece is going to go on the top. And I'm going to chain my A's and D's just like I did, or my A's and B's, just like I did my C's and D's. So, since the A goes on the top, I'm just gonna take everything and shift it over like this so that when I'm putting it together, I know that my A is gonna go on this side. And then I'm gonna just chain piece them all through, flip them over, put my B's in, chain piece them all through, and then I'm gonna come back and iron them. So I will meet you on the other end of all this sewing. I've got all my A's sewn on and I did chain piecing. I'm not gonna iron yet. I've got my D's ready over here in a pile so that I can just pick them up and add them to this side, and I'm gonna chain piece all these on also. And then come back here, we'll get it all ironed and we'll actually be done. We will actually be done. Oh my gosh. So yeah, let's get to it. Woo! We got our A and our B pieces sewn on, and it is now time to iron them out. So again, just like the other ones, we're gonna iron towards those strips. And then, can you believe it? We will be done. We will be absolutely done with all our blocks. Okay, I finished them all up. I've ironed them, but my seams just keep wanting to pop up. So I'm just giving them, I let them cool, I'm ironing them again, and then I'm setting them under my ruler so that as they cool down, they're flat. And hopefully that'll help get them to lay a little flatter. So we'll see if that works. Got to get a little weight on them as they cool to get them to stick in place, but I mean, they're such tiny little strips that I can see why they're standing up. So as I'm finishing these up, I'll just do my little outro here and just say, you know, let me know where you're at in the process of doing this if you're doing it. I love to hear from all of you. It's so much fun. Give me, you know, head over to my Facebook page and on my Moda Midnight Moon Quilt Along posts, you know, pop a picture in the comments of your blocks. I'd love to see them. And, you know, leave comments down here also on the YouTubes, on the YouTube channels. But this has been so much fun. It's been such a great experience to share this with you. Learning all these new tricks and tips, and I've done new blocks in this. I've never trimmed out blocks like this, so that's a new experience. So it really has been super fun to do this with you and to share this experience. So, next week I will have my borders ready to go. We're going to lay our quilt out and we are going to get it put together. So that in the book there is a layout of the blocks, which I will probably follow just because it looks best that way. And we'll put our rows together, we'll put our blocks together, we'll put our rows together, and then we'll put our borders on. And our little quilt will be ready to go. And I'll do a little quilt show. I'll do a little Halloween quilt show of my quilts. You'll get to see what I have around my house. But if you're new here, this pattern is available. It's a book called Summer Moon by Carrie Nelson, and I have a link down below to the pattern. I'd appreciate it if you check those links out. I've got links to the fabrics if you like these fabrics, but you don't have to use these fabrics. And you can make this quilt right now. Also, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. You'll get notified, especially next week, when we put this together. You'll get to watch that too. So, as I finish these up, I will say goodbye. I will say I had a lot of fun making these blocks. I had a lot of fun making this video, and I will see you in the next video.